Hey everyone, this is Seth and Beth. Beth, how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you, Ben?
Welcome to the podcast. We have a friend of ours that drove all the way up from Columbus to be here, Emma Henterly.
That's right.
I love that name. Emma from Columbus Weddings. Thank you for being here, babe. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. It's a name I got as a wedding present, so you know.
Oh, that's right. What was your maiden name?
Frank Art, which was decidedly less cool. So
My maiden name is Durr. That's it. Just Durr.
We have a funny story. Like Beth's last name is Durr, which sounds like Durr, and but she has cousins who recently told me like a couple years ago, like they've been in New York for 20 years, 30 years, and they say, "Oh no, we say doer," and I'm like, "What do you mean you say doer?" And Beth was taken aback by this. She's like,
Even you saying this right now, I've heard this story so many times. I'm still like, yeah, what the heck?
now they're changing their name because they don't like it.
Yeah.
So I think my dad died at 57, but years before that, he still never called our name. Like he's like, "What do you mean? We say Kara Shannon." I'm like, "No, we don't." So anyway, I don't know what we call
Your
ourselves.
own dad would say it different than we say
Well,
it?
I think he would go to like a family reunion or like, and then they'd talk to the old folks, and someone would say it differently with a different accent. And sure enough, I'm like, "What are you talking about,
Wait,
Dad?"
how would he do it? You do it.
Well, I say Kurt Shannon.
That's what
But
I
then
say.
I have relatives say Kara Shannon or Kara Shannon.
Kara Shannon.
It's a crazy long name. I wish it was just
Oh, my.
Durr. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, everyone. Emma's here, and she's going to talk about what she's up to. So you work for Columbus Weddings, Columbus Wedding Magazine. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Columbus Weddings.
yeah, so oh gosh, that's such a broad
Right,
question.
I know. That's why I need a break. I'm talking too fast. So I just throw it to you and just
Sure.
let you take over.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, I've been involved with Columbus Weddings almost since I graduated college 10 years ago this year.
Wow.
So,
Where'd you graduate from?
OU, Ohio
cute.
University. Yeah. So great program. Got to Columbus Monthly is our parent magazine. Got there not too long after college, and at the time it was called Columbus Bride.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So worked there as an assistant editor, and then that magazine group got bought by the Dispatch. So I wound up actually taking a different opportunity for a few years, but still freelanced for the magazine, stayed involved, and then found out that a couple years later that that editor was leaving. So I emailed the publisher and I said, "Hi, I know how to do this job, so you should just hire me instead of
Look
posting
at
it."
you.
And it worked. So
Right?
Wow.
so I've been there for I guess this year makes 4 years for me now as editor.
So the
Wow.
magazine, you said this before, the magazine's been bought out by a couple parent companies. But
times,
what's
yeah.
the primary role of the magazine and who is their audience? I mean, I guess it's obvious, but I mean, tell me about it.
Yeah, so we're a biannual magazine. We come out twice a year, and our audience is anyone in Central Ohio who's getting married. The reason that we called ourselves Columbus Weddings, we made that change in 2015 when the marriage equality Supreme
idea.
Court decision was made. We wanted to capitalize on not capitalize even, but just recognize
Yeah.
the fact that not every wedding has a bride, or sometimes they have two, or sometimes they have none. So we really want to be a resource for every couple, traditional or not traditional.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, we had to change. We were super stoked. We had dear friends who were able to get married just after the decision we made to let same-sex marriages occur. But I had to change my mantra as well, Beth. I guess I would always, someone's getting married. I was like, "Oh, what's your wife? It's like." I guess I got my foot in my mouth a couple times.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, you mean, like, what does your wife do? You mean my boyfriend does this?" So now I say. This is a funny thing nowadays because now I say like, "Oh, what does your spouse do?" or "What does your significant other do?"
Yep.
But then
I like partner. That's my favorite word to use.
partner.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I gotta start using that.
Yeah, because then it doesn't imply married either. That could be literally any kind of partner. Or if
Yeah,
you're
and
single, it's like, well, my business partner.
I've caught that's right too. 'Cause then right, I've caught the other end is I have like this like muscle bound machismo guy, and then I sort of insinuate like, "So what is your significant?" If you don't say wife, then like, "Wait, what are you trying to say, bro?" I was like, no, we're cool. So anyway, yeah, I'm glad you guys did that. That's cool. So Columbus Bride, it all makes sense. So what's in the magazine, and it comes out twice a year. Like, what's in it? What are the viewers like to see in the magazine?
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting question because we're changing that all this year. We're changing our format for the first time in about 20 years that we've been in existence. So I'm really excited to be at the helm of all of that.
Right.
So up until now, the magazine had a story for virtually every category of wedding planning. So there was a story about wedding gowns, and there was a story about videographers, and there was a story about, any category you could think of. And what I did in the last couple years, last year we were nominated by the CRMA, the City and Regional Magazine Association, as a finalist for Best Wedding Ancillary Publication in the country.
Wow.
which was
know,
a
right?
huge honor. I was sobbing, like, just to get the nomination.
course.
My,
Did
my
you get a
designer
fancy
emailed me.
outfit?
Yeah, no. My designer texted me and said, hey, we were nominated, and I am running through my house screaming. My husband's like making dinner. He's like, "Are you okay? Did someone die?" I'm like, "This is the greatest day of my life." So we did not win. I actually picked Washingtonian Bride and Groom, I think it was called at the time. They're Washingtonian Weddings now as well. They were my pick to win. They're gorgeous publication. So anyway, and they did win. So I did after that. I grabbed all the magazines that were nominated along with us, and I'm like, let's see, what other people are
Good
doing.
idea.
And I realized we were the only folks who had this really specific kind of organization to our content. Everyone else was doing more of what you'd call a traditional magazine structure. So you've got your front of book is like little stories and product pages, that kind of thing. Then you've got your big feature well in the middle, which is your real weddings and your styled photo shoots. And then at the back, people tend to have listings of vendors. And I thought, if this is what the best in the country is doing, this is probably what we should be doing too. So we're in the middle of all that now. And in June, we ship our next issue to the printer. And so in July, you'll be seeing the fruit of all these labors.
Nice. So how do you get, how do vendors, like, who does the stories? How do vendors get in or get their stuff featured?
That's an interesting question too. For the last 20 years, we were what's known in the industry as pay to play, which means that we wrote about our advertisers. When the magazine started, it made sense. That was a way to do things. And when I came on board, that was one of the first things that I knew I wanted to change. And I knew it would be a hard fight because when you do something for 2 decades, it's really hard to change, and people are afraid of change. But I, made the case. I was like, again, no one else in the industry does this. We're alone in this, and it really limits what I'm able to cover in the city. So I made the case to the publisher that the magazine will be better and more beautiful, and just a better resource for our readers if I'm able to have this kind of freedom. So to answer your question, how do you, get in the magazine at this point? Say hi to me. That's what you guys did. You shoot me an email, message me on Instagram or something, and get yourself in front of me. Let me see your what you have to offer, and then I'm really trying to find the best that the city has to offer, so I can present that to our readers. So, or best that the region has to offer. It doesn't have to be Columbus. It's all of Central Ohio.
We're blessed to have some guests on the podcast, Beth, and when they can speak so eloquently like this.
I'm telling you, you should see her emails. Oh my gosh.
Well, I guess the point is
hilarious.
There's no way
There's no grammatical errors.
There's no way you could say, boy, she has no idea what she's talking about. It's just like, oh my God, you're amazing.
You know what?
How did you get hooked up with her?
Wait, hold on 1 second.
Oh, you're gonna make it. You're gonna draw
I
a
need
picture.
your help with something here.
Okay.
No.
Okay, go Beth.
So every podcast, I say the word awesome at least 15 times. What are some words that I can fill in besides awesome?
This is so funny because I just answered this exact question for a friend on Facebook.
Okay.
I like incredible, magnificent, amazing. What else did I say?
Thesaurus, Beth.
Yeah.
It's one you could also look up.
Stupendous. No.
Oh,
God. What were some of the? I gave her a really good one, and I'm blanking on it right now.
She will use it like twice. She's like, "This awesome show is just so awesome."
Just
phenomenal.
so awesome.
That's my favorite one.
Phenomenal.
That's the word I overuse.
Phenomenal. It's hard for me to say that.
Oh,
I know. Phenomenal.
If you're not careful, it sounds like the Muppets. Phenomenal.
So how did you get Emma on this show, Beth?
Okay,
Go on.
you guys have a great feed.
Thank you.
Like
is
on
it?
Instagram.
Tell us the Instagram feed.
At C-Bus Weddings.
Keep going, babe.
It's a great feed. And I noticed the other photographers that were on the feed, and I was like, dang it, I got to get on that feed. And so.
Now, this isn't normally like this. We're not like overly look at us type people. We are on this show, but I don't think we go out of our way to get featured.
Well, like,
some people are like, this is all they do. It's just like they send out like 20, 40 a month to get promoted.
I know that maybe we photograph different cultures that I noticed that maybe the feed was lacking. But also, Seth, you have written for Rangefinder magazine a couple times, and you do a really great job. Not me, but Seth does a really great job. And I was like, gosh, like you have so much insight. Well, we do, but you have.
Go on. I like this.
And I really thought that you could write a great article for them, whether it be photographing Indian weddings or fusion weddings or something like that. And I was like, man, I really think from a perspective that maybe you would not be able to write from, you know?
Well, Emma, let me be very clear. We took a stand years ago that for us, we found that spending, I'm not going to say wasting, but spending time over promoting our photos, we sort of replaced that time with just giving it to the client more.
Yeah.
And we ended up finding out that instead of, actually, we got far less inquiries, but the quality of our inquiries went way up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So by being popular, we were getting inquiries of people who really didn't care anything about us. They just heard about us.
Right.
And so the connection was just not there. But then we focused our efforts on just pleasing our clients. So our client list goes a little bit lower, but we have these just amazing clients that, I know everyone says that, but like when I'm like calling their parents and we're going out to dinner after the wedding,
like
we're going
our
to
friends,
parties.
you
And
know?
like,
I've heard that before. Yeah. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
yeah, so I'm obviously not against like something like this magazine. It's incredible. Promotion is great, and for a lot of young photographers, they do need that promotion to book weddings to get these beautiful clients. But anyway, I agree. Yeah, I do love the idea of teaching. I've been contemplating come out with like a masterclass type video to sort of display what we've learned in the past 10 years. But anyway, it's all for me. It's about you. Anyway, Beth, so keep going on how you two hooked up and why you're so in love with C-Bus Weddings.
Okay. And well,
Just keep going. I'm going to get a water. Go ahead, babe.
yeah. And so I reached out to Emma, and I don't know. We have obviously a great connection right off the bat. Like you're so easy to like the way you write is very much who you are. Where like I don't know. I hope everybody starts reading more because like your articles are they have a lot of energy, a lot of positive. I don't know. They're very positive the way you write. And I just was like, the way that I connected with a lot of the articles that you write, I connected with you on the phone, and I was like, oh, this is fun.
And thank you so much for saying that, because that's something I've really tried to curate in the last couple of years too. And when I inherited Columbus Weddings, it had been through a couple different kind of metamorphoses in all of the ownership changes and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it was just very informational, and at times it could be a little dry.
I find this too, and so as much as I like teaching my craft. Writing blogs like the flowers were from blank, the tux was from blank, and now Beth has told me just to sort of write from the heart. We've switched to like after the wedding is over, when we get in our car, she fires up like Google Notes and we just start talking into the phone and recording ourselves the way we felt about the day.
Yeah.
So how do you translate? How do you punch up these stories that usually are more just vendor focused?
Well, the starting point is always the writer. I have a really solid team of freelancers who I work with. I am the sole editorial staffer of Columbus Weddings. All of my writers are freelance, and that's kind of the model for the market these days. But I have some really phenomenal writers, and when I talk to them or even a new writer that's coming on board, I always say the tone is you're talking to your girlfriend or you're talking to a friend of yours. You want to be informative. You want to give them the info, but you want it to read fun. Yeah. And I actually take that a step farther on our Instagram and on our blog. I will drop in like some RuPaul kind of, slang or something like that on our social. I really have fun with the web stuff, but in print, we really try to be, you want people to read it, and people have short attention spans these days. So you want to keep them engaged. And I found the best way to do that is to just talk to them like you were talking to a friend. Kind of like this.
What kind of connections do you have with the bridal shows? Are you guys?
Yeah, so there's a lot of bridal shows in the market right now, but our our parent company is Dispatch Media Group, and they have a division that does the shows. So we are the Columbus Wedding Show, which just happened the other weekend in January. Randy Finoli was there, and he is a doll. I love him. And so we have that one. Randy Finoli?
I know.
Say Yes to the Dress?
Oh, I see.
Come on.
Yeah, sorry. Beth tells me I need to know these people, so that's why I'm asking. I'm letting it out there. I don't even know. So keep going. But tell me about the show.
And then in August, we have a boutique show, which is a one day. It's only 4 hours. It's like a mini version of the January one. So the January one, we're targeting people who just got engaged over the holidays, or maybe someone who's thinking they're going to get engaged in February. And the August one kind of captures everyone who got married since the January, or got engaged, since the January.
What are some of the stats for the January one? Like who all is there? How many people show up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Vendors?
I couldn't tell you about attendance. I actually don't know that because I just kind of show up.
But it's huge, right?
It's huge. We had, I think, 125 plus vendors. We gave away something like $13,000 in prizes. The grand prizes were one girl got free LASIK. and which is, I can say I have had LASIK, and that is an amazing prize. And the other got a gift certificate to our show sponsor, Worthington Jewelers. So she got to go on a little shopping spree.
Oh my gosh.
So
I just got goosebumps.
I know. So, and then again, Randy was there. So he did stage presentations both days.
Cool.
There's fashion shows. There's 2 fashion shows a day.
I know, like cake ladies will give away a cake or 2.
I ate so much cake at the show because, you know, they all have samples, and I'm just like walking through, and I'll just kind of like grab one and keep walking. But
I know those shows as vendors can be taxing. We just did one for 3 hours
at the conservatory, right?
Yeah. And I had to sit down, like, I mean, I'm out of shape and old and chubby, but I mean, like, at the end of it, like, man, their legs are tired. I can't imagine doing it for a whole week. And I heard it's brutal on some clients.
Really?
I can imagine.
Not clients, but on some vendors. Yeah.
So my role with those shows is basically show up and look pretty. I MC the stage stuff. So,
oh my gosh, I bet you do so good.
Oh my God, no, the first year it was awful. It was so, because I wasn't sure where to hold the mic. I'd never really done any live presentations before. So the whole time I'm going like, well, like I couldn't figure out where the placement was, so no one could get a read on my voice. And so I said, you know, I tried to, and I'm like shaking, my voice is shaking. I was petrified.
I can't believe you're saying this.
It's so true. And so I go off and I'm going to be like, okay, now let's get started. And nobody could hear me. So nobody clapped except for one model on the side who knew I was scared. So she clapped to like support me. And it was just like crickets and one person clapping. And I walked off.
You talking.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Columbus.
Let's get started.
I walked off stage and just sobbed backstage. I was so mortified. I was like, you guys can't make me do that again. You have to do it. And they said, Emma, you have to do it 3 more times this weekend. So that was the first year.
Wow, good practice.
This year, I have finally come into my own, I think, with it. I barely shake at all.
So does like Penzones do your hair? Like since they're like a vendor there?
Lately, they haven't. It was Penzone for a while, and then this year was Salon Lofts was the hair and makeup people. And they didn't this year, but I think starting next year, they're going to start doing my hair and makeup, which I'm excited for.
Right?
And then Henry's dresses me. So
that's fun.
So it helps too that I'm not in street clothes anymore. I am in this gorgeous like bridesmaid gown or something like that. So I have something to tell people like, look at this gown. Don't look at my face. Look at this. What's that?
Do you get to like pick it out, the dresses?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I went the week before. I went for maybe like 2 hours. I was at Henry's, I think, and picked out. I tried on probably 25 gowns, and picked out 6 of them. So every time I was on stage, I wore a different gown.
Gosh,
I had jewelry to match it all.
exciting.
It was very glamorous. So
That is so amazing.
So yeah.
What's the I'm trying to think. We have never done that bridal show.
No.
You should.
You think so?
I do. I really do.
I've heard people have success with it.
There are a lot of engaged couples there. There are a lot, and I almost said brides, just like we were talking before. It's a force of habit, but yeah, there's a lot of. Again, I wish I knew the numbers of attendance offhand, but it just feels like hundreds and hundreds.
Hundreds.
Couples. Yeah.
I know. You know, different strokes for different folks. Like I don't think we actually need. I don't think we need too many more clients at the moment, or can even handle that many.
Yeah.
And so I do know some of the, I hate to say cookie cutter vendors, but vendors who have like DJs. I mean, they do 300 shows, 300 shows a year. So
or cakes,
Yeah.
The caterers, there's tons of
caterers.
venues, of course.
Yeah.
We did go one time to see everybody, and it was quite incredible.
Yeah.
And so I really look up to those folks that do that, and we've had friends succeed there as well. So getting clients and whatnot. So about going back to the magazine. Is there like a mailing list folks can get on? How do they get a hold of this?
Yeah, so you can buy it on newsstands, but if you sign up for our Countdown Club, you actually get the issue, it's a free subscription basically. So the Countdown Club, it's our weekly newsletter. You get a free subscription to the magazine until your wedding date, or if you don't have a wedding date decided, we send it to you for 2 years. And what else do you get? There's like access to giveaways and exclusive events. And
So we subscribe.
Countdown Club?
Yeah. And then we get like additional
Did I send you a magazine?
Magazines. No, but it's okay. I like reading the articles. Like I learn, I connect with like other vendors by just reading some of the articles, but you get, there's other magazines you get with it. Like the Columbus restaurant one.
Oh, so you subscribe to Columbus Monthly then?
Oh, is that
that's our parent company. Or a parent magazine. So the restaurant guide, they send out best driving vacations.
Did you read that? I had it out for us to read.
I think it's on our one of them's on our tabletop right now.
It's so great.
So I used to produce that magazine actually too, but it got to be too much. So one of my coworkers took it over. But yeah, so we're not included in that subscription. Our Countdown Club is totally separate because it's such a different audience. You know, the Columbus Monthly audience is a little bit older. They're probably already married, but their kids are getting married. So we kind of target that end of the spectrum.
And she does one other one. Listen, this is such a good idea.
Go ahead.
The custom stuff?
The one about like if you're just moving to Columbus.
Oh my gosh, the relocation guide. Yes. So another part of my job that doesn't have anything to do with weddings. I'm the project manager for the magazine group's custom division. So it used to be Columbus 2020. Now they're called One Columbus. Hire us to produce their relocation guide. So if you're moving to Columbus, if you're thinking about moving to Columbus, or even, again, the Central Ohio region, man, this book has everything.
It has everything. The articles you write are so good in there.
Thank you so much. The most recent iteration is like 104 pages. I think the new one that we're producing for this year might even go up from that. I don't know. So it is chock full of tons of information.
About like all the different neighborhoods, all the different suburbs.
Yep.
So if you're moving and they have stuff about schools, like things to do in the neighborhood. I mean, it's very well done.
Yeah, there's a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that use it as recruiting material because people, they hear Ohio or they hear Columbus and they're like, wah, wah. So. And that's not what like Columbus is at all.
On Yahoo right now, there's an article that says, and I don't know how much truth there is in it, but like if you're like going to your Yahoo mail, they have those like little like featurette like stories like at the bottom. Yeah. And one says like, it's like, oh, you think that LA has like, the most expensive suburbs. Check this one out in Ohio.
Was it New Albany?
It has to be. It's like this picture of this lady, and she's upstairs in Polaris. I know exactly where she is. And she's got, it looks like she has 32, like, little personal bags, and she's, like, on the phone, and somebody's carrying bags next to her. And I was like, oh, my God.
What a life. Oh, my gosh.
I know, right? But, like, I don't know. Like, Columbus is an amazing place to live.
So I'm a Columbus transplant. I never lived here. I came here after college, actually, because my boyfriend was living here. He's my husband now, so it worked out. Mm-hmm. And I knew that, there was media in the city, so I didn't have a job lined up. I knew I'd find something eventually. And I honestly hated it at first. I'd never lived in a big city before. Mm-hmm. I'd always lived very, very rural cities, or towns really. But I've been here, again, like I said, for about a decade, and I have never felt at home the way I do in Columbus. It is such a special place. And people don't realize, I'm going to get all nerdy now, we are the number 3 city in the country for fashion designers, behind New York and LA.
Wow.
We are, they all just went out of my head. We're one of the best cities in the country for millennials. If you're, in terms of like the employers that we have, the cost of living is insanely low.
Right.
It's wild. So I have a friend who just moved here from Manhattan, and for half the cost of what she was paying in Manhattan, she has an apartment twice as big with like 12-foot ceilings and just like marble countertops. The place is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right. She's paying pennies compared to what she paid for a closet in New York.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could go on for ages about how much I love Columbus.
And that's one thing about like even like getting married in Columbus. Like there are amazing vendors.
And so many of them. Like you really have your pick of anything you could want. You can find it in Columbus.
Like even going to Franklin Park, the bridal show the other day, like when we were there, I was kind of looking around at all the different vendors. I was like, if you were getting married and you come to this bridal show, you could have a wonderful wedding just picking anybody that's here, get married here or somewhere else. But this, they really had a nice selection of
It's hard to
vendors.
keep up with them. I know. I see like some photographers in Columbus winning like some awards. And I was like, I've never even heard of them.
We have one of the top 10 photographers in the country. So
yeah,
I won't name drop them on your podcast, but
I know what you're saying. We're also number 1 in the world as a photographer.
Voted by my mom.
Right, yeah, voted by Beth's mom.
Yeah.
So you can start telling other podcasts.
I will.
Number 1 in the world. So it was really hard to get there, but we did it. And it's really on the back of Beth working so hard and making these connections. So, So I wanted to get your thoughts because you mentioned stylized shoots, and
Where We're doing our first one ever next week.
Exciting. Tell me
So
everything
you light
about
up
it.
about them.
I love styled shoots.
You should come. Do you want to come? Do you
I would
like
love
coming?
to. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'll give you the info.
You need to convince me because I have seen some bad. I have seen some unfortunate things occur with stylized shoots.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Oh. So
look, I don't know.
so maybe you can address this. So unfortunately, I find I have shied away from stylized shoots because stylized shoots, in the terms of photography, I'm not talking about flowers and all that stuff, but in terms of photography, it allows inexperienced, potentially unprofessional, and maybe not really talented photographers access to the most incredible flowers in the most unrealistic set with the most unrealistic people that are hired with dresses they can't afford at a venue they'd never be in.
Mm-hmm.
And so they take these gorgeous photos that can't possibly exist in this world, then they put them on their website to show clients and get business.
Yeah.
And so they're promising that you're going to get this gorgeous model that's hired in this dress that very few can afford. I don't want to like exact,
And it's not going to look that way on you because it's on a model too. So.
And so you're basically setting up potential new clients to say, I am just out of school. I've done 4 weddings, but look what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know what you mean.
And it got to the point where I am very sad to say that I know it got to the point where photographers were organizing this and then charging young photographers and promising them that you can fill up your portfolio with these amazing photos. And I'm just like, this is going to come crashing down at some point.
So here's kind of what I tell people about styled shoots. I love them because they're gorgeous. I love them because they're otherworldly. As a content creator, as a magazine editor, it gives me great things to put in the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
But they are meant to be inspiration only. I don't think anyone should ever look at a styled shoot and expect their wedding to look like that. Okay, unless you are yourself a model and you have access to a lot of money. So it's really more about saying, does this give me good feelings? Why does this give me good feelings? How can I incorporate this into my real world wedding? So when couples are looking at anything, when they're looking around for wedding inspiration, look at the styled shoots for the feel and the vibe. But when you want to find your vendors, when you want to find especially your photographer, you should only be looking at real wedding photos. Because that's really what good advice. Real life is like, right? Because not every couple is going to be a size 2 and like chiseled cheekbones and all of that.
Like me, yeah.
And, right, exactly. And
Chisel. The problem I was having, Emma, is I was finding, and we don't have to drag this out, but the problem I was finding is the photographers were using these as real. I mean, they were basically using these as showstoppers for real weddings, and so it's tough to keep up with. It's tough to keep up with that motif. I think we have had so much more luck just showing normal people in beautiful settings, on real days. And we now actually have to stress that like this is not a styled shoot. This is a real
that's awesome.
This is a real wedding. That's but
I even like that. Like I noticed that the albums that we show like potential brides and grooms, they aren't like the most beautiful wedding we've ever photographed.
Yeah.
They're not, they're just. These are normal people getting married in a normal wedding, and this is what we can do, and this is what the album would look like. Yeah. And I do really like that. Like, we've photographed more expensive weddings with actual models, and we choose not to showcase those photos because I want people to be able to connect with the people in the photos and not think like, oh, I'm going to like...
But I
feel bad that I don't look like
I think
model.
that's smart of you. One, I think it's really admirable too, because you're not trying to. I agree. I think there are people out there who will try to sell something that they can't deliver.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where I come in helping educate the bride and groom, the couple, and let them know these are the questions you need to ask. These are the red flags to look for. Always ask to see real weddings. Ask to see a full real wedding album, not just the selects. Ask
I love how you spun
everything.
this. Yeah, I love how you spun this back to a positive tone because I brought it way down. But you're absolutely right.
Debbie Downer.
I find that there is a ton of research that needs to be done to make sure you're getting quality. And we've gone over this on our podcast before. We'll have other guests on, DJs, florists, things of that nature, and they'll ask the questions, like, because I bring it up all the time, if you have just a single unqualified, unprofessional vendor at your wedding, it can really start setting the tone badly with flowers arriving late or
they're wrong.
What's that? Oh yeah,
yeah,
DJ
or they're
mics.
missing some. Or
I had one of the bartenders at my wedding got fired after my wedding because of her behavior there, and it was it didn't. I won't say it ruined the day, but it did color things a little bit in not the best way.
Color. Yeah, so like I think back of some weddings, and I think back of the chaos that ensued when a vendor just.
Well, I just want to tell this one story. It's just so good.
Tell it. I love stories.
Story time.
Oh my gosh, this one's so good.
Okay, go.
Okay, so we were at a venue where you can bring your own liquor in.
Okay.
Well, at some point, they started running out of liquor. And so the DJ says, hey, listen, like, I have buddies in the liquor industry, and there's a distribution just down the road. I can run down there and get the liquor.
What, at like 9 o'clock at night?
Yeah, like
during the reception.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And he was like, listen, I'm going to run over there. Now, the toasts are coming up. Beth, if the toasts come up, I need you to get on the mic, and I need you.
Photographer.
I was like,
No.
So I caught the other half of this story. I see mom, the mother or whatever, talking to the DJ, but I didn't really know he was a DJ. So I'm like, oh, some guy's gonna go get booze. Then all of a sudden it finds out that now we're going to be the MCs for the evening.
In a little bit, there's going to be toast, and I might have to introduce the toast. He's like, come again?
Well, and that's so funny because the big thing that I always hear from DJs anyway, is that hire a DJ, don't do the iPod wedding because we're the MC, because we do that job.
Yeah.
And this guy just up and left.
Right.
Well, the important question, did he come back
He
with
did
booze?
leave.
He did.
He came back with booze, and we did
Okay.
not have to get on the mics. But I was totally ready
So
for
it
it.
worked out then.
Kind of practicing like, hey, everybody, this is Beth. I'd like to introduce for the first time. Like, I'm like all getting ready. Like,
You're getting your
should I have
DJ voice.
My DJ voice, right? This is DJ Jazzy Beth here.
But we had to still photograph the event. It was wild, but I'm sure we all have stories out the wazoo. So
For sure.
yeah. So thanks for spinning that. You're right. I mean, I think there's a lot of research that brides and grooms have to do to get the right vendors.
You want me to tell you about our stylized shoot we're doing next week?
Yeah, tell me about. So
Yes,
so we
please.
are doing one. Go ahead,
Who
Beth.
looks at this? This is how Seth finds out. Okay, so it's going to be so exciting. So, do you know Courtney Heibel?
I don't.
I'll introduce you. She's
Okay.
so fabulous. She's got she's such a ray of sunshine.
Is she your coordinator?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we're going to go to the Beverly Mansion. I know, right? It's a totally new venue.
It's not, though. It's been around for a minute.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, they might have closed and reopened, but they definitely have been around for a while. They're gorgeous.
I'm really really to go
Yeah.
out there. We've never been out there.
Yeah.
And
I didn't mean to correct you. I'm so
oh
sorry.
no, my gosh, please do. Please do. And then
Well, it's hard to keep up with all the new venues. And
You're telling me I have to list them in our book.
that's how I even found out about the Beverly Mansion, is because they started posting things on social media, and I was like, what? I've never heard of this place. So I DM'd, right? Like, you like that?
You slid into their DM.
I slid into their DM. And it was Spencer from Metro. And he was like, oh my gosh, Tim just bought the Beverly Mansion, and now they redid it.
Okay,
and
so it is reopening then. Because I said, I
yeah.
knew it existed before, and I haven't heard anything from them for a long time, so that must be why.
yeah,
That's so
they
exciting.
redid it. I can't wait to see what they've done. I'm super. Spencer said it looks great, and so I was talking with Courtney, and she was like, "Oh, you know what, Lynette from Madison House Flowers."
I love Madison House. Oh my gosh.
We were talking about how we wanted to do this gothic, dark, stylized shoot, and we love the way that you guys shoot, because you guys are able to shoot dark, but enhance, really show the color.
Kind of contrasty almost.
And
and
we think that you guys would be best for the shoot. And I was like, we would. This is so up our alley. So we were talking about places to go. And I was like, I was just talking to Spencer about Seth and I going to check out the Beverly Mansion, because we've never photographed there. She's like, let's do it there. I was like, it'd be a great way to showcase the renovations that they've done, and create some great content for them.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be there. And then, I don't know, just other amazing vendors.
Who's your gown boutique?
I think it's gonna be the Gilded Social.
Oh yeah. They do the bridesmaids and I've worked with Tanya before.
And I was telling Courtney that I've been so into these like jewel tones that I've been seeing everywhere. Like I just love that. And like the velvet, like this velvet texture that's out. We just photographed a emerald green velvet wedding. Oh my gosh. So good. And so Courtney said that at Pursuit, they have burgundy suits right now.
I love the burgundy suit thing with like a black pant and a burgundy jacket and like a nice black lapel too.
Oh, my man would look so good in something
Any
like that.
Any man would look so good in that.
Okay. So I think Pursuit's going to be doing the tuxes.
That's amazing.
Then. Oh my gosh, it's just so exciting. What do you think? I see you smiling. You're so happy.
This is a lot of pressure. I didn't know there was.
Oh no.
Well, and
I wish you wouldn't have told me. I would have shot up and shot it like a boss, but now I'm like, oh shit.
Not to add pressure, but when you guys you have the photos processed, send them to me. We'll post them online too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Do you want to come by though and just see what's going on?
Yeah,
there?
after we record, give me all the details.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? I just love connecting with awesome people. I love
that is the value of these stylized shoots that I think in our space at the moment where we're at is really, really great. I'm looking forward to that. Look
at
at
that networking.
Oh, I thought you were getting emotional.
It's just so great to connect.
Yes, you're so right. I mean, listen, all the vendors you're saying, I really look up to, I follow and love. So it'd be nice to work with all these folks.
And you know what? And that's what I love. It's not like, oh my God, no, it's just so much fun. The whole day we'll just be working with awesome people. And like, I think that there's going to be two couples there, two women that might be engaged or they're just newly married, and then a boyfriend, girlfriend that aren't engaged, but Courtney knows them and said that they're awesome. So
you'll get great photos from that too, because I've done shoots where there's usually male and female in our experience, just because that is how historically it's played out. But if they don't know each other, the chemistry isn't always there.
Right.
But every styled shoot that I've seen, save maybe one or two that uses an actual couple of any kind, the photos just like the emotion is there. As long as the couple is, someone that's comfortable in front of the camera, like you did that with me and my husband, and I'd be like, very into it, and my husband would just be. You have to get him a little tipsy to get him comfortable in front of a camera.
I like that.
Oh, funny.
But yeah, real couples, they give you, you're gonna get some great shots from that.
Because it's like when they have their moments, it's authentic.
Yes.
Like and it is something where like if you don't actually love the person or feel a connection with the person, it's hard to make that up in a photo. You know,
you're acting at that point. You're not a model. You're an actor, and I mean, not to say that models can't be actors, but not everyone has that skill. So
I am looking forward to this now, Beth. This is good.
I think you always have some really great lines, honey, when you photograph couples that really brings emotion out. Like sometimes it might be sexual, where you'll say to like the one.
Well, just hold it. I try to get them to laugh, so I might say sexually funny things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To make them laugh,
right.
not like sexual, Beth. I'm not like now have sex while we're.
Our photographer told when we were doing engagement photos, told my then fiance to pinch my butt, and that's one of the best photos because we're both cracking up.
No doubt.
And it's one of my favorites.
Pinching's hilarious. That's one of my go-tos.
And Seth will be like, okay, so now just bring your attention down here, right into her boobs. Just right.
Just ogle those things. And I tell my brides, like, just think of me,
I don't like it when you say that.
Everyone bursts into laughter. It's freaking hilarious. No one would actually think of me. Not even you, Beth. I mean, so.
I do think of you, honey.
Okay, great. That's why everyone's laughing. So, that's funny.
You do have some good lines, though. I like that. What are some other? I like when. I don't know.
We don't have to let all the cats out of the bag here.
Like, can I just say this one?
I don't know what you're going to say. So,
like, you'd be like, okay, and now sway, and then sometimes you'll have to be like, come on now, really get your dick in her. Like,
Beth.
Cut that one out, but not like that. Not like that, but like you know what I mean.
Well, there's only certain ways to like. I did not say those words, folks. That is absolutely incorrect.
I believe her.
It might be a variant of that. There's not many ways to describe like this area.
Getting the crotchal region.
It's like, yeah, because when my couples like, and if your wedding's coming up, you're going to go through this year, but like if there's some separation throughout the body, it looks like these people want nothing to do with each other.
Right.
So you got to close the gap. So I'm like, get a little. I'm just like sort of
go ahead,
get
say.
a little, get a little midsection in there, get a little, yeah, Beth.
Crotchal region,
the pelvis, perhaps.
Yeah, so I'm like, just get a little hump in, like kind of like hump the butt a little bit more, like little, yeah. So that's how we got to get it done.
Oh my God, I bet your couples love you. That's awesome.
They're laughing their asses off. I am too. Just like now, my jaw starts to hurt because we're laughing so much on wedding days. And in our photos show it, Beth, we used to pose very statically and like very much like I would like move their hands like robots in the photos. And then now we just laugh our asses off and have a great time.
Well, you know what it is too. Like we have such a great relationship. We work on the relationship with our couples.
True.
So like when we say these things, it's like it's not weird. They're like our friends, and we're just like,
well, and you both are so like
around.
This is the first time I've met either of you face to face, and you both are so easy to talk to and just kind of laid back, and I could see it just being very easy to work with you.
So I love this magazine. When's the next issue come out?
In July.
How
I
nice.
know. It's a long time away, but not long enough for me to get everything the way I want it.
Right.
So we're working hard to help our brides and grooms submit their weddings.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Another big change is we're open submission now for the first time. Again, that old status of pay to play, our advertising photographers submitted. And of course, they still, our advertising photographers still can submit. I'm not going to return or reject a wedding because it came from an advertiser. But for the first time, we're letting any couple send us their wedding for consideration. So it's really easy to do. You just fill out a form, cbuswedmag.com/submit. And you just fill that out. You give me the link to wherever you have the photos, Dropbox or the photo gallery or whatever, and we'll look at it. And then if you're selected, you'll hear from me, and we'll take it from there. So,
are there any tips to be selected, or
hire a great photographer?
Yeah.
And tell your story. We have space in there to talk about how you met and what your wedding was like. And it kills me every time people give these like one sentence or one word responses, because I'm like, that tells me nothing really. So I want to know who you are as a couple. So really let that shine through too as you're filling out the form. Like, let me get to know you a little bit. Yeah,
it is the story behind the photos that can really get, I think, a viewer more engaged with the photos.
Absolutely.
We have found that too. I think individual photos are great, but the storyteller process for us is when we make our albums for our clients and you put 5 photos together, whether it's a dad seeing a bride or a first dance that went from like laughing to emotional to a hug. And so I think that's the process too with submitting weddings, is you really show someone's story and you need that background to learn what's important to them. That's what we try and focus on too. So that's interesting to hear. So,
and I follow that same kind of thought process when I put together our blogs online. So, because then I can really dive into individual weddings with the blogs. So, and I spend so much time thinking like, what order are these photos going to go in? Which ones do I need to select? Because I get 50 to 100 to 200 photos from every wedding. I'm not going to put more than 20 online in a blog post.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you choose? And if the bride says a story about, and it's often the bride filling out the form, but if they say something about, my grandma's hanky in my bouquet was this like special thing, and it was carried in all of the women's weddings in my family, I'm going to put that photo in when otherwise I would have just said, well, there's a hanky. Okay, bye. But now I know the story behind it. And that, as an editor will connect me to you as well. So,
how do you, I was going to wrap up, but then I had a question. You talked about brides. How do you, we always have not the problem. That's, we always make an extra effort to get grooms involved. How do you guys at the magazine make efforts to get guys on board of all this?
Yeah.
Tough, right?
That's the question, right?
I do know like vendors like Pursuit and some of the great hair cutting places in the, that really pamper the guys. I think there's been more of an investment with maybe millennial guys in terms of what they wear, how they craft their beard and their hair, and they're more, I don't say more involved, they're just, we see our grooms getting, like, they're interested in cigars and great bourbons and bringing parts of the day that make the day a little more special. So how do you guys at the magazine sort of get them involved? Is that a topic of discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's really about getting the messaging out that, guys, this is your day too. Like granted, probably most women, I shouldn't say most women, a lot of women have probably spent a lot of their lives thinking about their weddings. That's kind of the thing that you play dress up as a bride as when you're a little girl. I never did, but my brother did actually. But, I think at the end of the day, your wedding should be about the two of you, and everything else is just details. So, if your wedding is all this extravagant thing that your fiance has planned and you've had very little say in it, are you going to feel like it's your day? And if you can't say that you feel like it's your day, well, maybe you need to be a little bit more involved and feel like you have some ownership over that. So I don't really have an answer to that other than just like telling guys like, hey, you get to be excited about this too. This can and should be exciting for you too.
There's such amazing events, but also still sort of crazy with the planning and the families involved. And we've seen all that. So I do know that the best weddings come from people who can stay positive. At some point, they just don't give a crap about what's going to happen. And so it's funny as we're all in love with these amazing details, but like you just said, at the end of the day, we try and stress to our clients, like, just don't care as much. At some point, you can't care about everything as much, and you do have to enjoy it. And those really show in the photos. So
care about every detail right up until the morning of the wedding. And at that point, you hand it off. You give it to your maid of honor, your best man, to your planner, to anyone else but yourself. And the only thing you should be thinking about is the reason that you're there.
Tell us about your background. I should have led with this. Like you said, you're married. You guys have kids, or how long have you been married?
We've been married it'll be 5 years this May.
Oh, nice.
No kids. We have 3 fur babies. So we have a cat and 2 dogs.
Cute.
So thankfully I always joke that I'm really glad I didn't have this job when we were engaged, because my wedding would have been a lot more expensive.
We've heard that before. With the planners and whatnot. So.
There's just so many, I thought I knew everything because I had been involved in the industry as a writer for a long time. And I didn't know what I didn't know. So, it just goes to show everybody has something to learn. And if I always joke with Matt, I tell him, can we get married again and we'll plan a different wedding?
Yeah.
And it'll still be us, but just like a new wedding, like 5-year anniversary wedding. All right.
What venue do you love the most in Columbus? Where would you have it at?
Oh my God. I'd probably,
Can you play favorites?
I don't know if I can. I'm going to piss a lot of people off
if I name one.
Don't. There are so many, but truly, there really are such gorgeous venues in the city.
Are.
It would be really hard to choose.
Yeah.
We had the issue of, we have big families. So I had to find a place that could accommodate 250.
Oh, yeah. How many do you have?
I'm the oldest of 8 kids.
8 kids.
My parents each my dad was one of 5. My mom was one of 7.
Oh, wow.
My parents-in-law, my father-in-law was one of 6, and my mother-in-law was one of 7.
So many cousins.
So many.
Do you have a lot of nieces?
I have no nieces. I have 3 nephews, and Matt's sister is actually gonna have a baby any day now. So
Seth's sister too.
Yeah,
my sister's due like right now. So
Yeshua's due on Saturday.
So anyway, when we were looking for a venue, finding a big enough place was the hardest issue.
Yeah.
All my favorites were too small.
Where'd you get married at?
We wound up getting married at the Vault on Gay Street.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So gorgeous, renovated bank vault from the 1920s. My joke with it was, if you've hit the nail salon, you've gone too far, but don't worry, it's really pretty inside.
Yeah.
That's right. That's a great place.
It's really tucked away.
I love that area of town.
Yeah, and I work right across the street from it now.
Oh,
so,
okay, cool.
I see it every day.
All right, follow Emma at Columbus Weddings. At Cbus Weddings is your. Tell us, what are the handles again? I'm going to mess it up.
Yeah, so on Twitter and Instagram, we're at Cbus Weddings. We're Columbus Weddings Mag on Facebook. Columbus Weddings Magazine on Facebook. You don't want to follow my personal stuff.
Great.
I'm only posting on the brand. I don't post anything personally.
Well,
so.
Beth loves your stuff, so I'm sure it's a great feed.
You're just such a great writer,
Thank you. Well, and I will say the photos that we use on our feed are the weddings that have been featured in the magazine. So that's where those come from. So if your wedding is in the magazine, your wedding is also going to be all over our social for the next 6 months. So
thanks for coming all the way up to the studio and talking with us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
I hope we see each other next week at the stylized shoot.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It'll be so fun.
Thanks for listening, guys. Subscribe to our YouTube page. It's the only way you can see us at the moment. And follow us for more podcasts. Emma, thanks so much. Talk to you soon, babe.
Thanks.
Bye.